I'd like to welcome everyone to the Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, October 18th, 2021. Call this meeting to order. Any confirmation of agenda? Is there anything additions tonight? Shouldn't be. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof? Adoption of minutes, please.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Mellon, that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole held on September 28th, 2021 of the 7th Council of the Municipality of South Dundas be adopted as circulated.
All heard the motion, those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Okay, so staff reports. Our first one tonight is Bang the Table demonstration. Kaylin?
Okay. All right. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Okay, so first up tonight is our newest community engagement platform that we are launching tomorrow morning. Let me just get this out of the way here. So it's up on your screens, and we talked about this back in the summer, early summer, where we signed on board with Bang the Table. As you may recall, this is a community engagement platform that has a lot of tools where we can get people to give us feedback, opinions on projects, ideas, all that kind of thing. So the idea is that this will be an avenue for people to use to have a voice in the community where staff can actually gather that information and use it in a productive way. So this is a lot different than something like social media because it's a lot more formal in the sense that we can extract that data and we can use it to make decisions and bring those ideas back to council, that kind of thing. So we are launching this tomorrow. We're doing a fairly easy launch. We're starting with just 2 projects. We want that because we don't want to overwhelm anybody. And so we know that it's going to be a slow process of uptake for people to register because they do need an account to participate, which we knew was going to be our biggest challenge moving forward because we want people to sign up, and sometimes that's hard to give incentive for that, but we're hoping that this will be good. So tonight, basically, I just want to walk you through the site. We can we can have you guys each register for your own accounts so that you can participate and see what's going on. But I'll start by going through it, and you can follow along on your own screens, or you can go with me on the smartboard. But basically, this is the landing page and the home page. We've got our welcome message and our sign in, our register buttons. It's a fairly simple setup, which is nice, but these are our first 2 projects that we're launching with. So we know that the composting issue has been one that we've been talking about for a year now. So we wanted to get some feedback, and I'll actually go into the project. So if I just click here, view project, I can go in. I can't go in. Actually, I may have you guys make an account first. Maybe we'll do that first. Sorry about that. Okay. So on your screens, if you can press the register button, we have another message. It's important that everybody knows that this data that they put in here is protected. We don't use it for anything else. It doesn't go anywhere. It just is used for this site. And so we're asking for a username, email, password, and then we've also asked a few questions. The first is
Sorry, just a quick question. Should we be using our personal email or our municipal email? Because
your choice.
okay, but if we're not, okay, gotcha.
The email's not public facing.
Okay.
It's so that you can get alerts if you want to track a project and you want to get alerts about a change in something or something like that.
I'm just thinking longevity. I'll just use my personal email.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're asking 2 questions. The first is postal code. We're asking for this because we want to be able to see, obviously, and extract data. If we ask a question, how many people in Morrisburg, how many people in Williamsburg, how many people in Iroquois are answering that, so that we can maybe get a better idea of what works in certain areas and if there's consensus for certain areas. So it is important to be honest on that kind of thing. So we encourage our residents to do that. The next question we're asking is just a simple one of, are you a business owner in South Dundas? Again, this is just so that we have maybe a little bit more information, and it's not a requirement to answer this in order to sign up, but it would be nice for us to be able to track that data if they're willing to give us that information. So once they agree to the terms of use in the privacy policy, like I said, which is just saying that their privacy, their information is private, they go through the CAPTCHA and then they can register.
Can I ask questions as we go here?
Yep.
Well,
Go ahead.
should we have, I agree with business owners, but what about a resident of South Dundas? Can this be open to anybody?
It is, but that's why we're asking for postal code,
Oh, okay.
because that'll tell us where they are, as long as they're
Yeah.
honest. But they could lie about address too. So our hope is that they don't.
Because somebody might have a postal code that's a South Mountain postal code, but lives in South Dundas, so.
We could add that as a check mark that they are a resident.
I don't know, or like, if the postal codes get, separated off.
Yeah.
They're not done by geographical or municipal boundaries. Like my home phone number is under South Mountain, postal code's under Princeton, but I think there are some that have a postal code under North Dundas, South Mountain, in the north, I think anyways.
We can definitely add that as a checkbox.
But it's something to look into. If it's not needed, but it's just, I don't think we should be allowing somebody from North Dundas to comment or South Grinville or, it's okay.
I can definitely do that. So once you've created your username and password, we'll sign in here.
Everybody okay? Don, anything?
No, I think
It's not letting me register.
No?
Are we supposed to click onto this?
Yeah, I know, everything's filled out, it won't, I don't know why it's not. Doesn't have a check mark with the password, maybe? Change my password.
Just get my mask.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Check, check. Okay. That's a bug
Brenda.
I'm gonna have to look into.
Okay.
Morseby's KLC1XO. No match.
Don't put a space in it, maybe?
Yeah, don't put a
No
space.
space.
No space?
I'm gonna try and change my username, Kaylin.
It's got a check mark beside it. There's gonna be a few bugs that we have to work out.
It's the password, it doesn't seem to, there's no check beside the, I'll try another one.
Does it have all of the characters needed?
Yep. I'll try that.
Yeah, mine won't go kick in either.
No. Good, it's not just.
Okay. Sorry about that. Obviously some bugs. You were able to?
Yeah.
8 to 16 GA.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I will figure that out. So we'll go through on the smart board, and I can look at that.
Did you follow the rule?
Mm-hmm.
It might have taken too long. I'm gonna go back in and try it again. Sometimes they freeze.
I'd say it's this, your password.
Okay. Watch access there.
Says what we need.
No green checks.
Mm-hmm.
Your password's too long. So you have to make a shorter password for that one.
Oh, we can do that
No,
too.
my password is from.
See, we'll just go
confirming it.
like that.
Oh, here we go.
Is it working?
The I'm not a robot popped up. It wasn't on my last one.
Okay.
So I went in
Okay.
and then went back out and I'm in. Yeah, that's what I would
So
think.
go up here and click here, and then just hit enter.
Where?
Right by the C.
Or get out
Hit
again.
enter.
There it is.
Okay, start over.
It sounds like work.
I'm good. Yep.
Archie, yours clicking?
Okay.
Perfect.
What the hell's that?
You're not
That's
a
not the area code here.
Yeah, it's just the
Oh,
timing.
you
I
gotta
think
look
it
on your
times in,
phone for
times
that.
out.
On your
Kaylin?
email for the-
No biggie.
Here, just a second.
If I was at home, I would have
One
tried it
axle.
again anyway.
Oh, really? Okay.
Why did not accept the one I was punching it in?
I'm not sure.
Because it looks exactly the same.
So there are going to be some kinks. So if you hear from residents,
I followed the
have them
rules.
let us know. Because it is a new site.
So once we sign in, are we supposed to be able to go into the subject matter?
Yes. So you should. I guess it's a good thing it's not launched yet.
Okay, now can I get out of here now?
It's like that for both of them.
There you go.
Thought it was a rollout.
Can I get out of this one?
Yes.
Oh, now I need the verification code.
Press what?
Just- It'll
Never?
should come right up on your.
Never.
Archie's too. It'll come across here as an email.
It wasn't on my emails.
Okay, so sign in again. Not register, sign in.
Oh,
And do your email and your password that you created. Brenda, can you get on the projects?
Yeah.
You can select a project and see it?
View, is that what you want me to get?
Yeah.
No. You don't have access.
All right.
Next point?
Okay, well, we'll just keep moving along because I will figure that out on the back end before we launch. This is what a project page looks like. So we have 8 different tools to choose from. So when a staff member is creating a project on the Speak Up South Dundas site, they'll have conversations to decide which of the 8 tools work best. We want to keep it fairly limited to like under 3 that we're using that are going to be best for this situation. So for our composting page, we've chosen a forum situation and a quick poll. So the forum will be used like a discussion. So anyone who signs in and registers, they'll be able to go to the discussion and input their views, ideas, anything like that. And it'll be contributed in a timeline fashion. Everything is monitored. So Bang the Table has people who are looking at this all the time on the back end. And so any comments that do have any sort of profanity or anything like that are dealt with beforehand, so they won't even be posted,
Oh, okay.
which is,
So will the person be, sorry, Mayor, would the person
Go
be put
ahead.
into Bang the Table jail if you've got somebody who just doesn't get the message that this is supposed to be a productive use of time?
yeah, we'll be able to see that kind of thing, and
Okay.
we'll know if there are any repeat offenders.
The other question I had was the vetting process for how the conversation is initiated. Will that go through you? Like, so say we have a recreation question. So would the recreation folks sit with you and go through, or would they create it themselves? Like how does what we're putting out there get vetted as being the
Yes.
right questions?
So it goes through the senior staff level, and it's a conversation between all of us. And as you can see on the side here, there's always going to be a who's listening, so people know which of the staff members are actively participating in this conversation. So obviously for the first two projects, it's only going to be Shannon and myself. But if we were to do something with recreation, then we can get Austin on here or Melissa and have that staff member and me and Shannon on here looking at things. And in the actual project process of what we're going to put up, it is a discussion. And we know sometimes, at council, we'll get direction that you want feedback, so we can take that into account, bring it to the senior staff level, talk about it there, and then make the actual project if it's appropriate for bringing the table.
So as council members, would we be able to see the full conversation? Like, will we be able to see what people's feedback is? Or?
Yes, because you have an account, you'll be able to go on here and read through everything.
Cool.
Just like any other member.
Okay.
Yeah. A few staff have access to the back end where we moderate everything, but that's just technical stuff. So we've got the forum. Like I said, this is a discussion forum, so we're just looking for people to have a conversation about composting. We want to hear what people are saying, see if there's anything that's consistent out there. We're asking for stories, experiences, ideas, anything in this situation, because we do know that this is a pretty hot topic. So we do want to hear what people have to say. If they have something that they experienced from living somewhere else or anything like that, we want to hear it. The quick poll is really easy. We just want to know, are people willing to pay for composting in a user pay system? Is that a yes, no, maybe? So again, people don't have to answer, but it would give us an idea if that's something that we should be exploring. And if council has any suggestions or recommendations for any changes to these, you can let us know. So the other thing we have on here is just an FAQ. And so we can target them for each project. In this one, obviously, we've got some information about why the composting sites have closed, current composting options, and some information, because we do get the people asking questions about the difference between leaf and yard waste and like branches and trees and stuff like that. So we just have a little bit of information there. There's a lot that we can do on here over time that you'll see. We can have project timelines. So if something like the roundabout had been on here, we could have an actual percentage of how much is done at what time, so people can track where we're at. Yeah, so there's a lot of information that can be on here. Any questions about this project?
Go ahead.
So
open.
with the bang the table, so is this isn't a standalone piece though, right? Like we're hoping maybe eventually it will be the mode of the way we get feedback. Mm-hmm. But for the short term, how do you know that you're not only hearing one voice? So, whether it's, I don't know if you're thinking of maybe inviting, like, going to targeted groups, like, if Janine Wagemans has a course, go and talk to those folks so you're getting that demographic and, that type of thing. Like, I think it's fabulous. Someone like me, this stuff's easy. I'm very comfortable. It's not out of my thing, but I think you need to not hear just from people like me. I think it's important to hear from everybody. So I just wonder how you're going to, how are you going to monitor that it's not just one? Because that's what people hate about social media right now, because you're only hearing one voice.
Yeah. So we know this is going to be a really long process, let's say. We're launching this tomorrow, but I don't expect 100 people to sign up when we launch. It's going to be a process. So like you said, we've got plans. In the email that I sent you today, there's an email that's drafted. Obviously, you can change anything you want. We're asking you today to send out to those stakeholders, your committees that you are on, that kind of thing, to the people that you know in your networks. Get them encouraged to sign up. We can work with our instructors to get the word out. It's a long marketing plan.
Okay.
So we'll be doing, newspaper ads, and when we have mail-outs, like mass mail-outs that go out to the community, like we'll do our garbage mail-out and that kind of thing. We can always do advertise for signing up for Bang the Table, and some of the, like I said, it's going to be quite a long process. We don't expect it to be a huge uptake right away. So we'll be using social media every time there's a new project, encouraging
So I want
people
it to
sign up.
succeed. I just don't want to only hear one type of voice, because
Yeah.
I think that would be hard at this table if you only hear the people, it's going to be hard, right? So.
Yeah, and we'll have our user list, so on the back end, we don't see private information, but we will get to see who's signed up. We'll know, and it's public facing. It's a little like social media, where if you do post a discussion item, it's not anonymous. It says who it is, right? So we will know if we're getting people who are speaking more than others. One of the things that I would like to come out of this is word of mouth signups. So when we send those messages out to our networks, those committee members that are like you and want to get involved, then we're hoping that they're going to talk to their friends and encourage them to sign up and that kind of thing. So it'll be a lengthy process and it'll be ongoing.
Okay, good.
Yeah. There's never going to be an end to the marketing plan.
If you will, sort of a follow-up on what the mayor is saying, like, you're saying, like, we'll be able to go in and see the responses.
Mhm.
But I think we need to track, because personally, I'm not gonna read,
No.
But if we have a number, like, okay, when you, like, do you wanna pay? Do you think we should pay for compost? The only ones that are gonna respond to that are the ones that are using the compost site now that are free. So we gotta be able to take that into consideration, like, okay, we got 50 responses, like, 49 of them said, yes, we wanna keep the compost site open and free. So then, we gotta be able to, I guess, have a checks and balances. You realize that, the only ones that are responding to a certain question will be the ones that are using it, because let's face it, I don't think, 99% of the people are probably never gonna, unless it's affecting them directly, they're not even gonna look at it, they won't respond to it, they won't fill it out. And that's just the way human nature is. So if we can have the numbers and, because I'll be honest with you, like I said, I'm not gonna read every,
No.
every response that's gonna come in.
And
I
that's
can't
like-
even get logged back into it, and it said I'm logged in, but anyways, that's beside the point, I can screw things up. But anyway, that's the only thing, because I do agree that, like, if you only hear the one side of one story, because the ones that are adamant are the ones that are gonna go on this and give their opinions, and if we only take that opinion, and it's a very small minority of the overall population, we have to take that into consideration.
Absolutely, and we know that not everybody's going to use this. Some people just won't want to use it just because it's technology and that kind of thing. And so we, as staff, will take that into account, right? So you're not expected to read every response. Let staff do that for you. We're the ones monitoring it. But what we can do is bring you that data. And it's not meant to be a be-all, end-all, but it does. The hope is that it provides you maybe a little bit of guidance. But like you said, that quick poll, we'll be able to see who answered from what postal codes, because we do require that, right? So we will know, is nobody responding from Williamsburg or Matilda because they don't care because they're doing backyard composting? And is everybody responding from Morrisburg and Iroquois? We'll be able to see that kind of thing. And so it's not a perfect system, and we can't make everybody get on it as much as we would like to hear from
No.
everybody in the community. But staff will handle that on our end, and the idea is that in the reports that we bring you when we're using this data, we'll take that into account. It's not perfect, but it does give you an idea of a collection of voices.
Yeah, okay, it's a tool
Mhm.
to be able to use, interpret.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just thinking down the road a little bit. We may want to change policy, because what happens if you had a member sitting around this table that's kind of using that to their advantage with, if we're allowed to post questions and comments,
Yep.
then we're going to need a policy for council on how to use bang the table. Right?
Could be a conflict.
Yeah, well, it could be a conflict. It's supposed to be, it's meant to be for our residents. We have this, but I just could see where certain personality types that could potentially sit here may not use it correctly.
Any comments, Don?
Nope, I pretty much agree with the deputy mayor on what she said. Not saying that anybody would take advantage, but I think it's a good idea to have it there. Thank you.
Yeah. I know it's gonna be a long haul into making this somewhat effective. You know, it's still not gonna 200 people tell me what to do with compost on here. It really doesn't tell me what I wanna do with compost, because it's too broad a subject. Especially when it comes to dollars and cents. We can get a general idea, and it might give you some direction, but I still think there's going to be a lot of holes. Let's see where it goes. I'll be reserved in my judgment. I think it'll take some time before we get enough users to get a good core there to make it work
Yes.
better than what we have now, that's for sure, but go ahead.
You know what I like about it? I like the fact that I said this last meeting, if we take the power away from social media, not that people shouldn't have a voice, but this is more proactive. Even if people disagree with stuff, if we can get our residents to understand that the information is being collected with the intent of building, whether it's compost or something better, like creating something better, versus the social media where people just kind of pile on, and they need, the residents need to understand that elected officials or government staff, social media is exhausting, because for every one really good idea, you've just got 15, who do they think they are? They can't, this is the stupidest idea, blah, 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 blah. And there's not a lot, it takes so much energy and resource to mine the good ideas out of there, that if our residents look at this, even if it's a smaller sample to start, if the residents look at this as, okay, here's an opportunity, I can sit from home and think it through and write it out, and it is going to be reviewed and looked at for what it is, and you guys don't have to mine it out, you just see it and compare, and it's a good positive discussion. I think we can grow it, so there will be, I think of our youth engagement committee. This would be fabulous. The youth would, the kids would just love to be able to submit ideas without, judgment stuff. So I think that's the problem is Bang the Table had to be created because social media is not doing what people thought it could potentially have done. So it's just a waste of space now.
And to that effect, so the second project that we're launching with is just an idea forum. So it actually looks like sticky notes. And all we're asking for is people to say, how can we make South Dundas a better community? So they just come on here, add your idea, and that's kind of where we're working to do more positive and collective information. So we don't have to sift through things, right, when we use this type of thing. Again, it's all moderated, but you can also vote on an idea, which is really nice. So in this kind of situation, if an idea is added and it gets 100 votes, well, that's a tool that we can bring and say, hey, a lot of people want this. Maybe this is something that we need to explore.
So could you use it for broader application, like with committees? So say you have the tourism committee that had some great ideas, hard for them because they are representing, they're from peers of the committee and they're a committee of council, but they've had some broad ideas. And I do see this as something that could be used and say, hey, we're introducing, whatever, and now's your time to, how do we make this the best project possible? What are your ideas? Blah, blah, blah. I think that could be really, because then there's not dollars and cents with it. It's more that the idea has been budgeted for, but how's it going to look for the community? Then it's more of then it's more engaging, right?
Absolutely. And like you said, we can use it for a lot of different things, broad and tailored. And the one thing I will say is that for at least a little while until we do build up a base of users, we do need to leave things on for a fair amount of time. So if we were using it for a committee, they would have to understand that it might be a few months before they get any data back. But yeah, there's lots of things that we could use it for.
I like that.
So I would encourage you all, if you're interested, to add an idea to get us started, something that you've heard from somebody in the community. Once I get the back end figured out so that I can get you on there, But yeah, so that we can get started, if you've heard something from anybody that you think is a good idea or anything like that, add it and people can vote on it and get us started. But yeah, so that's our second project that we're going with. And then we'll see what comes up, see if anything else happens in the future that we want to put on here and kind of see where it goes.
You know, it's funny with these. Oh, sorry.
Can people go back and forth on this thing?
What do you mean?
Dialogue.
It's moderated, but on some tools, yes. Some,
So if someone puts up an idea and the next person says, that's gotta be the craziest thing, it's
no,
like
they can't
spread.
comment on it. They can only vote on it.
There you go.
Okay.
It's not nasty.
Well, I'm just trying to pick this out, because, you know, you are allowing people to say what they want to say, and,
Yeah.
you know, you're still gonna have somebody that's gonna say that's not the right idea, because it's not gonna be back and forth, but they still may put negative comments on there.
Yeah.
How else? You know, I know it's not Facebook where it's totally unregulated, but I mean, it's still an open forum, and if people put something on there, expect it to keep on rolling.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say is that when I had my initial conversations with the company, they had found in their experiences, because you actually have to go through that process of registering, the ones that are maybe not as productive in their comments that we would find on social media are less inclined to go through that process just to do that same thing on this kind of platform.
I think the hard part is though, like I got my Facebook account, 2007? So I did have to register, but all the way back in 2007. So you register one. It's interesting. I mean, my daughter came home and she had a sheet for her reading chart, and the homework, if you will, she's online, and there's like a whole program where it's like reading articles, reading books to get badges and all this fun stuff. I like books, but that's what she's doing. So it may be a way to capture the folks that aren't engaged in municipal thing, but they are engaged somewhat in that level of technology. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like, sort of on your point, Mayor Byvel's, like, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I mean, any response that goes in there, I don't know, should that be out there for everybody else to see? Because if you get into a debate using this system, the big question, and maybe the question that's being asked will get lost in, you know, 3 or 4 parties arguing back and forth, you know, going back and say, well, you're wrong, it should be this, and I don't know. I mean, as long as we see the responses, but I really don't know if I make a comment on there about composting, you know, not that you know, it's anything earth-shattering and it can't be shared, it's just that sometimes I'm just wondering if the argument you may take away, it could get distorted.
So, yeah, it's not set up in the way that we would imagine something like Facebook and the commenting and replies is set up. So a lot of the tools, some of them you can't even have your comment go live until it's been moderated. And then the replying features on some of the other tools don't kind of work the way that Facebook does. So it is heavily monitored by us and by Bang the Table. They do the side of everything that's any kind of profanity or anything like that, but staff are on here. We're gonna have to be on here every day, you know, just checking in and making sure that everything is copacetic. And so the way that it's set up, we don't expect it to get out of hand. I say that, it could. But it's not something that we're too concerned about, because it's not set up in the same way that Facebook is set up with the commenting and replies.
Yeah, because you see that on Facebook where
Yeah.
people will get fighting over social media.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the original intent of what the topic was is totally lost after a couple dozen interchanges between the parties, and then you don't even know what the hell they were talking about originally.
And they built this platform because of that, because they didn't want that kind of thing. They wanted productive discussions. And so a lot of the way it's been built funnels you into that kind of situation. Like I said, there's always going to be the the one time that maybe that doesn't happen, but it's not something that we expect to have happen often.
One more thing, like when we were talking about, as we go and maybe refine it a little bit more, how easy is it to, for us to ask, put something in or take something out that we see that's not working, or refine it or tweak it? It's very, so we don't want to be stuck with a program that we can't do anything unless we change the whole program. Like if we see something that's working or something that's not working, we can build on what's working and try and fix what's not, or maybe eliminate it. It's not a big deal
No.
and any charge,
No charges. We paid for this system, and it's been handed over to us, and so all of the back end is in my hands.
Oh. Okay.
So, and we're training a few other admins on it, but at least for the beginning, I've got the reins.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, thank you, Kalen, for that. We'll see how it all goes. Next one is Mass Notification System Demonstration.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me okay? Can you see my screen? I just put my display up for you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thanks. Thanks, everybody. My name is Leanna Monroe. I work with iSoft Technologies, and what I have for you today is a presentation of the Buoyant Alert Notification Service. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Buoyant Alert is made by iSoft Technologies, that's who I work for, and we are a Canadian software company. We've been in business for over 17 years, and we have a strong history of customer support and satisfaction. Now, did any of you have a chance to learn a little bit about Buoyant Alert before today's demo at all? Did you see any of our website or watch our explainer video, any of that kind of stuff?
I suspect not, no.
No.
We heard of it,
Alright, well-
we have an idea what it does, but you can basically start at the bottom and we'll work our way up.
Sure thing. Hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'll have a pretty good idea. So when we're thinking about, I know you were just talking about the bang the table and the kind of the public forum for ideas from the community, and lots of communities are using that type of tool these days. It's really gaining popularity. But there's times when you want to send alerts out, and this is not, asking for opinions. It's it's just getting information out to folks. So some of the notification requirements when I had shown a demo to Kaylin earlier was maybe for any of your emergency alerting, any type of public works types of advisories, road closures, water restrictions, boil water, water main burst, that kind of thing, public safety information, that sort of thing. This is what Buoyant Alert does. So it is a multi-purpose notification service. You can use it for both your emergency and your day-to-day communications. And we really built this product out for the smaller populations. Most of our clients are under the 20,000 population base. We've really taken their feedback to put together a system that is feasible for you to use. It's easy for you to use. It's not a big city solution. It doesn't have the big city pricing and complexities that come with that type of software. So it's really designed for the municipalities, smaller communities, small towns and cities and that sort of thing. Now you can use it to get out your emergency notifications. It's a very quick and easy system. Any of your localized events, it could be as big as the entire municipality or just a small localized area of it. And the day-to-day communications as well too. This has been a huge tool for our clients over the last, more than a year and a half now with their COVID communications, letting people know what's going on around the community as far as what to expect with new protocols and procedures in place, where the vaccination clinics may be, that sort of thing. And then at your public safety information, your fire bans, water restrictions, any of your roadway advisories, all that sort of stuff. With Buoyant Alert, you can include images and PDF files in the alerts themselves. So a lot of our clients will use this for rural and community crime watch. They can put a picture of a stolen item or even a vandalism act that's occurred and be able to get feedback. So you could say, if you have any information, contact your local law enforcement. You could embed a phone number or an email address for people to reach out right from the notification. Some of our clients even use this for the bylaw enforcement when they pick up stray animals. They'll put a picture of the dog and say, if this is your dog, come and get it. So lots of different creative ways of using it. If you're shopping around for systems, and you probably are, you'll see that a lot of them out there are just kind of a simple text message or email-based system. With Void Alert, we really do try to give you a much more visually impactful presentation of the alert. This really tends to capture people's attention. There's a lot of room in the alert to have a description of the situation, any instructions that people need to follow, any additional information, different ways for them to reach out. There's a map. There's their location on the map, the location of any incident at hand. And we really believe that giving this type of information is much more impactful and people will pay more attention, especially when it comes to emergency alerts, as opposed to the picture on the left there. Now we do have multi-channel delivery, so people are going to be able to receive these alerts via a mobile app or text message, email, or even a voice call to their landline. So we really do try to appeal to the largest demographic that we can. We understand that not everybody has access to technology or doesn't necessarily want to participate in it, so they can still join the program and receive alerts to their home on their landline phone. We do have a one-click push to social media as well too, so if you're sending out an alert that is to do with the entire municipality, you're going to be able to, with one button click, post that on there. So for your communications people, that's a real time saver for them. Also, when
list. So again, this kind of extends beyond the reach of the regular registrations. Now, when folks are registering, we've tried to make this product as anonymous and simple to register for as possible. When they download and install the app, all they have to do is put in their location, and then they're done. If they want to register to receive the text message, phone call, or emails, they go through a web registration process, and it uses a two-factor authentication. So this does away with usernames, passwords, security questions, all that kind of stuff. There's no forms to fill out, absolutely nothing like that. So you'll see the whole registration process takes less than a minute. The software, because we're a Canadian company, in full compliance with PIPEDA and all provincial and federal privacy legislation laws. For the administrative side of it, this is a web-based application, which means you can run it from any computer anywhere. We don't have to install any software on your systems whatsoever. You can be at home on your laptop if you're an administrator, and you can send out an alert. All the alerts are based on pre-made templates. So Void Alert comes with over 50 different templates in place with a variety of subject matter, all your day-to-day and your emergency type of communications. And we'll work with you in training to put together custom templates that are relevant to your region. Because you are a waterfront community, obviously some flooding issues and whatever else you have, that would be a typical type of alert that you anticipate sending. You can set up these templates in advance and have them ready at the go. So it makes the whole alerting process very quick and easy as well. Now, this is a geospatial type of alerting system, which means that you can target different areas of the municipality. Every message doesn't have to go out to everybody. And this, we believe, kind of reduces that notification fatigue. Let's say there's some kind of issue with people who live near the waterfront, they're having some kind of flooding, but it's not affecting the people who live more inland, then you can just limit those notifications to only those impacted areas. We can import in KML or KMZ files, and this creates a very precise evacuation order alert zones, that sort of thing. The diagram you're looking at here was an actual flood evacuation in Grand Forks last year. The mapping department was able to generate this file and provide it to the administrators. It's a one-button click import into the system, and everybody in that red area received an evacuation order based on their proximity to the river and their elevation. So it's very precise in that way, and you can really control who gets which types of notifications. Each alert can have multiple alert zones with different content in them. So this allows you to get an evacuation order out to the proper people, and then the people surrounding you can give them information saying, yes, people are being evacuated, stay off the evacuation routes. Or here's how you can volunteer to help, that kind of thing. You can give different messaging in each alert. We have several features that come with the application. We have a dedicated and isolated training environment. So this allows administrators, if they haven't sent out an alert in a while, they're going to be able to practice in a safe place where they're not accidentally notifying the public when they're just practicing. We have reporting and analytics available to you. For the people who are receiving the alerts via voice call, we have a computer voice that reads the notification, and we've invested quite a bit into getting the best one we could, the best sounding one we thought anyway. But further to that, sometimes there are still words that the computer doesn't pronounce properly, and that could be street names or neighborhood names, sometimes indigenous words and names, that kind of thing. You can go in and you can phonetically change the vowel substitution, so you can force it to sound the way you want it to. Then that way it's saved into the application, and every time that word is used in an alert, it will be pronounced in the way you want it to sound. So lots of different features available there. We have team and group communications available to you, so you can use this as an internal communication system. If you wanted to send notifications to only specific town employees or council or municipal employees, you're able to target those groups, your EOC or your ECC, your council, your public works people. Whatever you want to do, you can set up these private internal groups and target notifications only to them. And then further to that, we have a recipient response feature available. So this allows you as an administrator to do a couple of different things. Within the alert, you can embed a button. It's just a one checkbox thing that does it. It's very seamless. That asks for confirmation that people have received the alert. Or you can pose a question and provide up to 4 canned answers for people to choose from. So either way, when they're putting in their submissions, as an administrator, you're going to be able to see who responded, what time they responded, what they said, where they are on a map, all of that kind of stuff. So you can use this for your team, recall, tracking, all kinds of different ways to use that feature. Sorry if I'm talking really fast. I know that I have a short window here. Just tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast.
So far, so good.
Great, great. I mentioned a little earlier that you can include different media types into the alerts themselves. So a lot of our clients do use this for rural and community crime watch, stolen items, vandalism acts, I mentioned the bylaw stuff earlier. Also to use this to promote different events that are going on around their communities too. Economic development type incentives, all kinds of stuff. There's lots of different ways of using this. You can have your council meeting and you can embed the Zoom link right in, or the WebEx link into it, and you can include a meeting agenda as a PDF file. Or if you're promoting some type of event that's going on, you can include a brochure or include images, all that kind of stuff. So it makes it a real nice community engagement tool. The pictures really tend to capture people's eyes, and there's lots you can do with this here. Further to all that, you can put a portal on the municipal website, so if you choose to publish any alerts there, people can just see them just by being on the website. So it'll just pop a little iframe on there on a page that's typically devoted to promoting Voin Alert Out. And there people can click and they can expand those different alerts and they can see more detail. And from there they can also click and register for themselves. So again, this extends the reach of the alerting. As far as support goes, you get 24/7, 365 support with us. We are a Canadian company, so that is Canadian support. Nothing in the US, nothing overseas. We have an emergency concierge service as well too, and believe me, with the wildfire situation in Western Canada this year, it got used, where if for any reason you cannot send out an alert on your own, if you can get on the phone with us, we can send the alert out for you under your direction and on your behalf. So you can think of us as your backup administrator, you know, if there's for some reason you don't have any internet services or your administrators are away on vacation, just somebody get on the phone and we'll be able to help you out. Again, because we're a Canadian company and in full compliance with PIPEDA, absolutely everything is hosted in Canada. It's 2 different Canadian AWS servers. One is in Toronto, one's in Montreal. It's on a failover system. So if one goes down, the other instantaneously picks up. We have community support available. So this is built in as a help button on the app and also as a web page on our Voin Alert website. People can come here and they can see different information about Voin Alert if they're trying to decide whether or not to sign up. They can see why they should, what's in it for them. There's videos they can watch. There's a frequently asked questions section. And if they're not finding what they need out of it, we have a form at the bottom of the page they can fill in, and that gets submitted to a support person on our end. So if they're having difficulty, our person will try to help guide them to resolve their issue. Included in your annual subscription, you will get a marketing rollout kit. This is all professionally designed content. We will give you images and content for your website to promote Voin Alert out to the community. We will give you social media content. So we have a package, I believe, 20 captions and images that go with it so that you can have an ongoing social media, letting people know Voin Alert is available, what they can expect, why they should sign up, here's how to sign up, that sort of stuff. If you'd like printed items, we can do the artwork for it and we can co-brand it with the municipal logo. So we have one-pagers, mailers, little card handouts, and then when you're doing larger community events, we can do posters, banners, that kind of stuff. So we'll supply you with the print resolution files and you can take that to your preferred printer. Now we do have a free trial. This would be an internal trial where we would train up some administrators, and typically the administrators are your communications personnel. Sometimes you have your emergency management coordinator, different roles within your organization who would typically be in charge of communications, whether it's informational or critical severity. We train up a couple of administrators on your side and we'd hand you that dedicated training environment. And you can have it for up to 2 months to put it through its paces, make sure you're happy with it, if it's right for you. If you decide to go forward, then you also do have an unconditional cancellation of 2 months too. Sometimes things have to go on the back burner, sometimes canceled altogether. You're able to do that. You're getting pretty much 4 months to kick the tires on it. Now that's it for my slideshow. I didn't want it to go on too long because what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you a demonstration of how the system works. So I'm signed up to receive, or I will be signed up to receive notifications via email. And Kaylin has provided me with phone numbers or cell phone numbers for you folks, and I registered you to receive text message notifications. So you'll see a difference. Kaylin is registered, she's got the training app, she downloaded it today, so you'll be able to see the difference here. When folks have the app, it's a pretty nice experience with it. It's very feature rich, but one of the most important parts of it is when you're downloading and installing the app, you can allow Voin Alert to override any do not disturb settings on your device, only in the case of an emergency alert. So this way, if somebody has, say, a do not disturb setting on their device between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., and they don't want to receive any audible notifications, if they enable that setting on Voin Alert, they're going to be able to hear a critical incident notification come through on those hours. And the app has a proprietary klaxon sound. It's very loud. It's designed to wake you up at night. For the rest of you, I just have you in with a text message, so if anybody does not want to receive it, let me know and I'll disable it right away. I was just trying to be prepared so I didn't have to go through the registration process for everybody here. So here I've got Kaylin, I've got Stephen, Kirsten, Lloyd, Donald, Archie, Shannon. If anybody is not at the meeting or doesn't want to be at these, just let me know and I'll quickly remove it.
My name is Don Lewis. I left my cell phone in the truck, so I will not be participating.
Okay,
And you
I'll
can,
disable yours there. Okay,
you can also take off Lloyd Wells.
Yeah,
okay.
he doesn't need to see that
Okay.
when he's away. He won't know what's going on, unfortunately.
I don't want to scare them. All right, everybody else is okay and good to go?
Yep.
Okay, good. So what I want to show you here is how quick and easy the registration for this product is. I mentioned earlier when people download and install the app, that's really all there is to it, and then they just enter in their home address. I've got you all registered at your work address at the Ottawa Street location there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to register myself for an email notification. And I just want you to see the simplicity of this. This is one of our differentiators between us and other services out there, where a lot of them do have long forms. They ask a lot of questions. They want a lot of information. We've tried to completely get rid of all of that type of situation. We know people want to register to receive notifications. They don't want to have to give a whole bunch of personal information to do it. So I'm just going to quickly register here myself. So I'm going to register my
Lana, we
work
can't
location.
see your screen if that's the intention. We're
Oh,
still looking
shoot.
at the presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I have to share the right screen here. Sorry, I just have to figure out how to share a different screen. Share content. This screen. There we go. Thanks, sorry. I just back up then. Here I am registering on the web to receive a text message or an email notification. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so I've got the Ottawa Street location here. Next. Here's what people see when they're registering. So I'll say yes. And I'm going to register with my email. Just copy and pasted that. I'll click through the terms and conditions and privacy policy. When folks want to click that, one page, large font, easy to understand. Yes, I'm going to confirm. Now, I'm going to receive an email with a 4-digit code in it. So I just got it now here. This is it, 9725, large font. And that's it, I'm registered. It's done. Nothing else has to be done. So we really do believe that this is, a total help into getting people to sign up for the system, is that they're not going to have to sit there and fill out forms and remember a bunch of things to do this. And I'm just going to put my name in here. Folks don't have to, but I am going to, because I could add myself into a internal communication group this way. All right, let's take a look at the application a little bit here. In the region details, I borrowed the logo from the website because this is what people see when they sign up. You'll also have the opportunity to add additional customization in here. So when people land on that home page, this one here that I landed on when I finished registering, you can put a little blurb in here about why the municipality chose Voin Alert and the types of alerts people can expect. So you can customize this a little bit. You can even put your own contact information in here if you want people to be able to reach out to someone within your organization. You're going to be able to add that in there too. We also have some customization in the form of issuers. So the default issuer would be the municipality of South Dundas, if that's what you wanted to call it. If you had a different name, you could put that in there. That would be the default issuer. So typically when people receive the alerts, they receive, at the top there's a timestamp and it says issued by. Well, you can have other issuers representing different departments of the municipality or different constituents within the municipality. If you wanted some of the smaller towns or whatever you have going on there, having their own seat on the account, that's something that you could think about too. So you can have these different issuers. That's a level of customization. We do have recipient groups here, so these are those internal teams and groups that you can add people to. I just have some samples here. EOC personnel, all municipal staff, department heads. If you wanted to send notifications only to these people, you could. Manage recipients, you're going to be able to manage the recipients that are signed up for the system, including help them sign on. Now the public topics, what this is when you are sending out informational notifications, they go into a topic group. And this allows people who are registered to the system to deselect and opt out of topics that they're not interested in. So I've just got some samples here, tax information, civic events, roadway advisories, that kind of thing. There is no mechanism to opt out of emergency alerts. If you're registered to the system and you are targeted by an emergency alert, you are going to receive it. So this is just for the informational stuff. So as a recipient, I can go in there and I can say my topics, oh, I don't want to pay my taxes. I don't want to be reminded, so I can deselect that and not receive that type of notification anymore. Of course, that's not true. I always pay my taxes. All right, let's take a look at the alerts. Voin Alert comes with loads of templates in place. We'll work with you in training to create custom templates that are relevant to your area and your different anticipated alerting needs. From there, you are able to create as many templates as you want and store them in the system. Now I'm going to go ahead and start sending out a couple of alerts. I have 2 different ones set up here for you. First one I'm going to do is a Highway 2 lane closure advisory. Now I know that this is a busy road. If you have lane closures for whatever reason, it could be due to planned construction, it could be due to vehicle accident with fatality. When you have a road that's closed partially or fully, you want to, especially a busy one like this, you want to tell people how to detour around it and what they can expect. So when people receive this alert, they are going to see the marked off piece of road on the map, and then there's content down here you can put in. So I've just got this one that's fairly simple. Please be advised, Highway 2 between Flag Road and Highway 31 will have alternating lane closures. They'll be in effect from October 19th until the 21st. Traffic delays are expected, speed fines doubled in work zones. Whatever you want to tell people, you're going to be able to get that message across quickly and easily. Before you send out any alert, you must go into preview mode. This allows you to make sure you're happy with the content of the alert. If it was an alert that you could schedule in advance, and quite often these informational alerts are, we have a scheduler where you can set a start time and or an end time. You can run an alert for a specific duration, and also recurring alerts too. If you wanted to remind people of something every 2 months or on arbitrary dates, you're able to do that. So you can kind of set it and forget it and schedule alerts. But I'm going to go ahead and activate now. So for all of you who are receiving this by text message, you're going to receive a regular text message, and then in the body of it, there's going to be a link that says more details. When you click that, it is going to open up a web view that will show you the map and everything else that kind of what you're seeing here, just like as if you had the app. And most people, when they're signing on, will take the app. But, you know, it's just, just to show you this, I didn't want you to have to download an app just to watch this demonstration today. So I'm going to confirm, and I'm going to activate. And I'm receiving mine via email, so I'll pop mine up on the screen when I receive it.
I received it on my
Alright.
watch.
Not her.
So I got mine via email here.
Cool.
I'm getting dizzy.
That's awesome.
And you can see here, now I'm looking at the map going, oh, that's typically how I drive home. I'm going to take the detour advice. Everybody had a look at that one there?
So cool.
Yes, thank you.
Great, okay, good. I'll go ahead and end that alert. Now I want to show you one that is more of a critical nature. So let's say we have a flood evacuation in Morrisburg here. Now I've got this section marked out as an alert zone. Again, you can have your mapping department, they probably already have as part of your emergency plan a lot of this stuff mapped out, and they could generate the KML files that can be imported straight into the system, and then you'll have very precise alert zones. Alternatively, you can hand draw them. That's what I did there, so it's easy enough to do. In this flood evacuation zone, I'm telling people specific information. I'm saying dangerous high waters and debris flow, you must evacuate now. I'm telling them where the nearest shelter is. I've got Timothy Christian School, I don't know if that's right, but I just picked something. And I've got the address. Now I've got this address set up as a link. So if people have the app, they can tap on the link and it will open up the mapping application on their device, and they'll be able to get turn-by-turn instructions. I'm giving them safety information. Don't cross flooded areas. If you need help evacuating, call 911. And if they want to register for support services, I'm not sure what you have in place for that. If there's a pre-registration as an evacuee, you can put the phone number or the website or the email address that people can reach out to. So if they tap on this, it will open up the dial pad on their device, and that number will be programmed in. All they have to do is press send. Now outside of that, I'm giving people other information. And especially in the case of a severe flood, you want to kind of keep people up to date on what's going on. I'm saying, yes, people in Morrisburg have been placed under an evacuation order. If you have not received the evacuation order at this time, you are not required to evacuate. So this kind of helps to resolve any confusion that people might have. They're going to be able to see that evacuation zone on the map. They're going to be able to understand, okay, it's not me. You can tell them, stay off the detour routes, that sort of thing, or the evacuation routes. Again, giving them safety information. So depending on where somebody is when they're registered, they're going to receive the appropriate content. So I'm going to preview this. I've got everybody here in my evacuation zones. You're going to get this. Outside of that, anybody else would be receiving just the informational message. Now, Kaylin has the app, so you should hear a klaxon sound come off of her app when this goes off because she's in the evacuation zone. For the text message, it's just a regular chime.
Oh, crickets.
Yep, she's loud.
It's designed to wake you up if you have to be evacuated. So here I received mine via email. I can see
That's
my work
cool.
location in there. All right. So I'll just keep it brief. That's about all I had to show you for today. Kaylin said that there may be some questions, so I'd be happy to take some of those on if anybody has any.
Okay, first of all, thanks so far. As Mayor Stephen Bivell's here, I find this very informative, and to be honest, I think this is something that would certainly work in South Dundas. We've had some issues in the past, and we actually had one not all that long ago that would have worked, so a couple actually. So I think it holds some promise, there's no doubt about it. So Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor. So when people go to register, would our staff, so say somebody's coming in to pay their phone bill and they want a landline notification, would our staff be able to register them? They could do that, so they wouldn't have to go online. I'm just, the applications for this, I love it. Like the applications for our senior population that aren't on social media. I'm not saying all seniors aren't on social, but the ones that aren't will love this. And you did cover in your presentation how you can pick what you want to be notified on and what you don't. So it's giving the power to the user. So that was really my only question was, can we offer a level of service? So when, say someone's paying their taxes and they come in and we do the thing, would you like to be notified of? And they can sign in. So I think
Absolutely.
I think it was a very informative presentation. So many applications, and if I was social media, I'd be worried because we can get rid of all this stuff.
So to answer your question, yes, absolutely, you can help folks out, and that's why we designed this manage recipients part here, where, you know, quite often you may have people, elderly folks, who just don't have much access to technology or just want some help, and so they can come in, they can say, yes, can you just sign me up for this, please? All you have to do is get their consent, which them asking you is, so
Yeah.
that covers it, and yes, you can sign people up for the email, the phone call, or the text message. If people want the app, they have to sign it up for that themselves. We can't force an app onto anybody's phone, but for the phone call landline, absolutely. And another thing you can do is, you know, when we're back to having community events and your emergency preparedness week and all that, you may want to have a booth set up, and we can provide you with the artwork for those banners and stuff. Get people, hey, come sign up for Voin Alert, we'll help you. And get them signed up that way, absolutely.
Well, and for us, it allows us to make changes on the fly, because it shocked me that I still get questioned, how come I didn't know about X, Y, and Z? I'll be like, paper, on YouTube, on social media, and they're like, I'm not in any of those things. So this really takes that out of there, because it's like, basically, you want to be notified, here's the option.
Right,
Compost
right, and
days-
it's a push.
Yeah, so
Sorry,
when
go
we pivot on certain things, like the compost days, and change dates, we can just, that's the end of that. So, and it's not fatiguing. I mean, you mentioned obviously if you're getting notifications every 5 minutes, it might be a little fatiguing, but it's not as fatiguing because this is information people want and they don't have to look for it. It just kind of appears. So,
That's right.
Thank you for your presentation.
Oh, thank you. We've done quite a bit of work on sort of analyzing how social media works and whatnot, and it is good for certain aspects. It really is. That's one of the reasons why we put together such a nice group of social media images and captions for you to use to promote it out, because that's kind of a good use for it, is just every week have a new post go up and say, you know, have you signed up for Voin Alert? Sign up for Voin Alert, here's how, that kind of thing. The thing about social media, and it doesn't matter who you're signed up to follow. I could sign up to follow your municipality, but the way that Facebook and Twitter work is they have some kind of algorithms that decides who sees what and when. You're not always guaranteed to be able to see the most up-to-date notification coming from the municipality. So I may see something that you posted 3 days ago and maybe it's already over, that kind of thing, right? So, and like you said too, social media just can turn into a nasty place, unfortunately.
Well,
And
I think,
that really is
yeah.
the sad thing of it.
Well, for this
But
too,
yeah, you can just section out, so if I have my garbage day change for
Yeah.
this area, and your mapping department would likely have some kind of maps already generated for some of these, maybe even for some of your water systems, and you can say, okay, for these folks, they would be the only people getting this notification. And then in the template, I can say my new date and time, and that's it.
Yeah.
You can also revise alerts too. So once you've sent one out, let's say the information changes, you can revise it, and then it gets sent out again, and the timestamp at the top will say updated. So people will see, oh, this is new, it's not a duplicate of the previous alert kind of thing.
so is there, just last question, is there, what do you do if, have you ever had a situation where the messaging fails, or like you didn't know the messaging had failed? So say we put something out, say it's not an emergency, it's just a change of the compost date, but we're like, how, I guess, like how would, what are the fail safes? And if we become, because you could see where people would become quite reliant on this, right? Where you send out the message and just, it's done. So what are the fail safes with this?
Right, we have some systems on the back end that monitor all of the notifications that go out. So first of all, when you're previewing your alert, this one won't let me go through because it's got a bunch of placeholders in here, but I'll just go to a different one. And I just go in here and revise. When you're previewing your alert, number one, you're going to see approximately how many people are going to receive it. So that's kind of an indicator. If you're seeing all zeros, then something's wrong. But we have systems on the back end that monitor failed notifications that go out. So if for some reason they're not reaching their target, we have alarms that go off that say, okay, there's some kind of a problem here. That is typically due to the last mile service provider though. So we can guarantee that ours will make it there. And so that last mile service provider would be whatever the local telcos are there. So if it's Bell or whoever. And so we can monitor it up to that point, and we can see that it is going to reach this many recipients. And then from there, and then in that case, you remember not that long ago when nobody could use their Rogers phone?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when that happens, that's totally out of our control. But
Okay.
for us, we do have systems that monitor it reaching that last mile provider.
Excellent.
Councillor Lewis.
I really don't have any questions. I'd like to thank you for the presentation. It was very educational. I learned stuff that I didn't know, and I'd like to say that I really enjoy how you can map out a certain area that's going to be shut down, or you have a water break, so on and so forth. I think it's a very, very good product, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. We're very proud of our work here, and we really do try our best to make it something that's usable for you. We don't want this to be bloated and hard to use. We want it to be an easy system. You're looking at the whole thing on the screen. There's nothing more to it. You know, there's a few menu items here. It's not a complicated system with a bunch of controls and buttons and sliders that are hidden in menus and menus and menus. We understand that a lot of times, and especially when you have an emergency type of notification, tensions are high, you need a system that can be run quickly and smoothly, and that's why having all these templates in place for a lot of your anticipated needs kind of really does a lot of that work ahead of time.
Thank you.
You bet.
Councillor Melwin.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree. I think this has got a lot of practical applications that we can use across the municipality, whether it's boil water advisory, road closures. I guess the one thing that in your presentation, and that would have to be, you know, might be a good thing, but I think the logistics of it with like the crime watch or the violent incident thing would have to be coordinated through the OPP, which would have to be from SD&G. Now, I don't know if that's something that, they would be interested in. I guess we could approach them on that. I don't know if they're gonna, do something just for South Dundas if we had a violent incident or, somebody running around back in Halbert or something, and they might have to notify people. But anyway, but that's something I think that we'd have to look at. That would be the only area I saw in your presentation that may need some work or what. You would say about the being in compliance. There was one up there, PIP, PIPEDA. I can't even pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. Compliance.
PIPEDA,
What is
yeah.
that?
It's the Privacy and Informational Personal Protection in Canada. So that's a nationwide privacy protection for citizens where we cannot sell this data. We do not touch it. We don't even own it. You own it. So everybody who's signed up to the system, all of that data, that is under your ownership. We have absolutely nothing to do with it at all. So that's part of that, is protecting that data, protecting the privacy of the people who are registered for the system. We'll never take that data and do anything with it. It's always owned by you and not by us. And so that's part of that compliance. But if you did want to look into it, it's PIPEDA, and there's quite a lengthy website all to do with digital rights for Canadians. And we design our software in full compliance with it. And I just wanted to add it quickly back to the OPP and whatnot. We do have a couple of clients in Ontario. I believe it's the town of Elmer and St. Thomas, who they have administrators from the OPP who are actually an administrator on the system. So they'll be able to send out an alert on behalf of. And also in Alberta, we have a couple of detachments of the RCMP with the same thing, where we trained a specific person and they go on and they do the rural and community crime watch in association with whatever the local crime watch is. So there are options there for you to have other entities become an administrator. We can give them a seat and they can be trained. They can be restricted to only sending out their own alerts too. So in our administration here, we have a couple of different levels of administrator. We have a region administrator who has all access to the application. We have an alert administrator who you can set roles and permissions on. So you can say this administrator can only send out alerts on behalf of Public Works or on behalf of whichever law enforcement entity that may be, that kind of thing. So you can set it up in different ways, and there's opportunities for other kind of third parties to share in the system with you. Hopefully that answered that question a little bit. But yes, it's up to them if they wanted to do that. Sometimes maybe they would send your communications people a picture and say, here's a situation. Can you please post this? And sometimes that happens too. They're not necessarily always administrators on the system, but they may be in close contact with your own communications people and say, could you please post this situation here, especially if it's a violent incident, that kind of thing.
Kaylin had something to say.
I'm just going to tack on that we don't have to use it in that capacity. So all of the
No,
examples
not at all.
that were,
That's
all
just
of the
a
examples
totally
that were
logical.
given,
Yeah.
we choose
Yeah, I realize that.
what we would use it for.
It does have practical applications, but, maybe there's something, I don't know if the SD&G detachment would be interested in maybe a pilot project. I don't think they use that anywhere else, but I mean, it does have practical applications, you always get the Amber alerts, but that's province-wide, but, incidents, local incidents may be beneficial. Have to see about that. I guess this is a question of maybe more for staff, like their Conjure service. That's great, but somebody has to be able to notify you. Like, let's face it, most of this stuff's going to happen on holidays and weekends and Christmas breaks and stuff like that, when there's not going to be anybody here. So staff's going to have to be able to have somebody always on call, basically, to do that. Will that be a staffing issue from our perspective?
I would jump in here. We would, for all of our emergency situations, there's already procedures in place. Like, we looked at our boil water advisory procedures, so those staff are notified when an emergency situation happens. The only reason we would use the concierge service would be if no trained staff were available immediately, whoever was at the scene or whoever was there would be able to use this service if they weren't trained on it. Now, we'll have plenty of staff who are trained on it, so we're not expecting to have to use it. But it would be a situation like when the boil water advisor happened in August. I was on vacation, and let's say we had this system but nobody else was trained on it yet. Shannon could have called and said, hey, we need to get an alert out, and done it that way. We don't expect to use
That's
it a
right.
lot, but it is a staffing. It's a
I'm
staff
just
thing.
curious how we were gonna juggle that internally, I guess we will. I guess the only other thing, Mayor Byveld, is if we were gonna go ahead with this, you know, I think the rollout and the advertising and promoting of this, will be critical, you know, through the newsletters or tax billings, you know, I don't know, inserts in tax bills or, people gotta know how to do it and use it. And, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, so unless people are really to, you know, take the project on and have enough uptake in it to make it worthwhile. Not everybody on, you know, in an area maybe would have to, but let's face it, if you're in an area like, you know, in a walk and all of a sudden, you know, 50% of the people get the notification, word spreads by word of mouth. If the other one, but I mean, you gotta get enough people to uptake on this to make it worthwhile, I think. But I think it definitely has its merits.
Well, I
So
think,
something
you know,
we've noticed, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, you know, yes, there will be the work of getting everybody on the system, or as many as we could on the system. But I think it will be an easier sell than a lot of things we do try to push here. It's, you know, you just tell them, we need your phone number, or we want to use your contact to give you a base, so if we have an emergency or an alert within the municipality, that we will be able to contact you quickly. And I see a lot of merit, and I honestly see more than just emergency. I don't see it, you don't need to alert everybody for every little thing, because then people won't watch it. But there's places like road closures, or if there's we had the gas incident in Iroquois, that could have been covered. You just never know, and that kind of stuff, I believe, would work well. And we could work with the counties on certain things that are applied strictly to South Dundas. If there's a bridge closure or a county road issue, then I'm sure county staff can work with our staff to come up with something that works. And I think that's a partnership we need anyway, because they have the mapping system, so it just kind of works back and forth. And I'm sure they'd be game for it, that's for sure, because any kind of communication out helps. I'll tell you that. You know, it's 9 times out of 10 the problem is communication. That's where it lands up stopping. And if we get the word out as best we can, I believe the system would work well. Now you can go ahead.
I'm sorry. Something that we notice over and over again is the clients who use this to send out 1 or more alert per month have a way higher uptick in registration. The reason is that people understand, well, these are important alerts to me when your water is going to be shut off, or when traffic is going to be terrible because of construction or a vehicle accident or something like that. When people receive these alerts and they're relevant to them, and they're kind of, using that geofencing to target the right people, because you have a big area to cover here. There's a big region, and so you don't have to always tell everybody the same message. You can isolate it, so that way people understand, oh, this is for me. This boil water advisory is for me. It's not for the community that's 50 kilometers southeast of me. And that's where you kind of start losing people when you're sending out the same notification to absolutely everybody. You can geofence your alerts. But the ones that we do see sending out 1 or more alert per month, then people talk. They say, well, how did you know about that? And they go, well, I have Point Alert. Well, you should get it. They'll tell their friends and family. And then it kind of just goes on that way. And also, like you mentioned, when an emergency happens and people want to know, that's, you'll get a lot of people signing up around that time too. We had, with the wildfire situation this year, we had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people sign up. Just because of that, because they were threatened. They're like, there's a problem. So if you're going to have what looks like to be a bad flood, you're going to have lots of people kind of going, well, I want to know about this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a slow burn, but like Kaylin was saying before with the other application, you put in place a marketing plan. We provide you with a lot of that content already, so it's not like you have to go pay a professional marketing company for that. We have all kinds of stuff. We have press release samples, we have videos on YouTube that people can watch, we have all kinds of things in addition to what I had mentioned before. So we really want you to be successful, and so we try our best to kind of help out with that as much as we can. But yes, you do have to invest in some of the marketing and promotion, and the fact that you have a communications team is really wonderful, because that's going to get you there.
Deputy Mayor?
I just want a comment to Councillor Mellon. I think it's important in the case of the police that they're aware that we have it, because of all the little towns in, say, Nova Scotia or even where Basil Baruski was, after they do the coroner's inquest, they always say that they wish they had a system that would let it out. So for the OPP, I think that letting them know we have the system, and it would be an absolutely critical, like it'd have to be, you know, through the roof kind of thing, event. I think that, I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to protect our residents, and I think that just that alone, on the off chance that something hopefully never happens, but if it did happen, we'd absolutely have a way to notify the residents. That in its own self is insurance for something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything
it's
further?
fast
Nope.
too. Yeah.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Monroe? Or
No, I
more?
don't, unless there's any questions for me.
No, I think we've had a good demonstration. I think we certainly see the merits of it, and we'll work with staff to see where we go with this going forward. So thank you very much for your time and work tonight.
Thank you too. Thanks, everybody. I am a real person.
Oh, there it is. There's somebody out in Alberta.
Yeah, thanks all. Have a great rest of your evening, and Kaylin, I'll be in touch with you. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye
thank
now.
you.
Bye.
Okay, moving forward. Our favorite subject in the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
truck tender. We're gonna finish it tonight no matter what. Come high or hell water. Okay, Jeff, you've gone through it and given us what you'd like to change, so you wanna kind of explain it to council, and then we'll go from there, please.
Sure can. So thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you on the, in this tender document, you're going to see 3 colors. You're going to see the yellow, meaning I need to still adjust the dates to make it a valid tender. You're going to see a light blue with a line through the wording. That's what I removed from the initial tender document that was first issued. So we're going back to the first one that we started with. So when you see a light blue with a cross through it, that's been removed, and then the green is the new literature or text that was added. So going through the document, you're going to see the yellow marks with the dates, as I said before. So when you get to section A, Deputy Mayor Gardner made reference to strictly wording that needed to be corrected. So where it read, "Dear Sir," I put in "Dear Sales Associates." If that's okay, we'll keep rolling with that, or is there a different form of wording that you would like to see in that spot?
Isn't that supposed to be to us?
No, that sends it, this is the people we're,
No, because it says, "We, the undersigned, have examined the attached specifications of the information and are fully
That's right.
informed of as to the municipal." So aren't they addressing us?
Yes.
Okay, so it wouldn't be sales associates then, it would be municipal staff, I guess, or municipal. There you go.
take it right out. That cleans it up, Jeff. The big
So just
delete.
take out the "Dear Everything"?
Dear everything.
Okay. Perfect. So moving down the list, you'll see where it said liquidated damages. I removed that section totally. Then when you get into section B, information to bidders, again, highlighted yellow means I need to modify the dates to make it correspond with the proper tender. When it comes to specifications, section C, we are looking for a commercial work truck, 4x4 half-ton trucks. If we're good with that wording, we'll leave it as is. Thoughts?
Any comments?
Well, I still don't like taking that $100 a day out, but
I'm going to inform you right now, Councillor Mellon, that if you put that penalty in, no one's going to bid. I've been told that by somebody who runs a dealer, and Deputy Mayor Gardner was there. They won't even bid, because that's the challenge today. So that, if you want people to bid, we can't penalize them. We're going to hope for the best. We're not in that era. I understand where you come from, 120%. I like people being on time, but it's a challenge these days, and they don't know if they're going to come or not.
we'll leave ourselves wide open to me, I don't know. They'll notify us the day before the truck's supposed to be delivered, we're not delivering the truck, and then we're right back. But anyways, well, I'm beating this dead horse to death. Sorry. If that's the case, it's gotta be. I'll keep my eye open and see what happens with this coming down the road. I just like to have something in there when somebody says they're gonna do something, they do it quickly, quietly, and efficiently, but maybe that's, anyways, go on.
Go ahead, Don. Councilor Lewis, sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not.
I think the way it is right now with, like, all dealerships having a hard time getting chips for trucks, I believe it's a good idea to take that out at this time. And if we feel down the road where we have to put it back in, then we can put it back in. But I feel that it should be removed as of right now, because all the dealerships, it don't make who you're looking at, they are having trouble to getting chips for their vehicles. So I think it's a good idea to pull it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay, so we're back on that commercial work truck. Any issues with that? Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so let's move into specifications. This is where we got creative. I sat down with my mechanic, and as well, I made a visit to the local dealership in Morrisburg, and I talked to one of the sales associates there, and we we went through the process with designing a truck and what the specs would call for, just so I had the proper wording. And then my mechanic and myself went back to the drawing board from the initial tender, and we started deleting and editing the wording. So I'll just go line item by line item. So number one, we're leaving. Number two, we eliminated all that literature, and it strictly calls for a V8 engine. We deleted the gross vehicle weight. Automatic transmission, line number 4, is strictly a yes/no answer. Drivetrain shall be 4-wheel drive. The tires, I eliminated the Michelins. My mechanic and I both felt that, seeing it's a 4-wheel drive, that they should come with fairly decent tires to support the 4-wheel drive. So there will be strictly black sidewalls. Line number 7, we eliminated the fuel tank and capacities, and line number 8, fuel consumption. We're just going to go page by page. Are we okay with what we saw on that page?
Jeff, I have a suggestion on your tires. Because to be honest, I've been doing some build and price online. You can do that. You don't have to go to the dealership. You can just play on your computer. It's quite neat. My suggestion on tires is not all season black sidewalls. They'd have to be LT tires. And I think that that'll help you at least get you toward that Michelin grade. Because the P tires on a truck, and I suspect that Councilor Lewis, when he was driving the first truck and they went 10,000 loaded, will never pass the grade. But LT tires are load range C or D, and that would at least get you a decent tire. I wouldn't go any less on a truck that we plan on using to load or do some work.
So, Mr. Mayor, you want that to read 4 tires, LT? You lost me on, I just want to get the proper wording.
Well, they have to be a light truck spec tire. So LT is the bracket you would have.
Okay,
I would suggest you just go on, if you want tomorrow, go on the Chev whatever website. I don't want to discriminate anybody, but to be honest, it's real hard to find a truck loaded with LTs because they cost more money, but the option is fairly affordable for what I've seen. But I wouldn't go any less than LTs. You can talk to your mechanic about it, he'll know.
yep. Okay, perfect.
Any other questions from anybody else on that page?
Be 5 tires,
The-
because you do have a spare.
So when I looked at it, and you click on it, the spare is LT also.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
all 5 tires are LTs.
Yes, thank you.
So you want that back to read 5 tires? Never you
Yeah.
get spare.
Well, you have to have the spare, so you better, I wouldn't have any less. And if you're real lucky, that spare is on there when you're ready to retire the truck. Brand
If you
new.
can get it down.
If you can get her down by then.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody good with that page? Okay, go on, Jeff, please.
Okay, so we'll go over to the second page. So line number 9, the body exterior, that's where they select either aluminum or steel. We eliminated number 10, we eliminated number 11. Number 12 is strictly, it's either an 8-foot box or a 6-foot box. So that takes us to line number 14. It's going to come from the factory. We're going to ask that it comes with a spray-in box liner. I talked to the sales associate in town, and he stated that if it does not come with the spray-in box liner and you job it out, it's roughly the same price. So it might as well come to the factory, and we know that the factory did the spray-in box liner. Again, bumper shall be chrome plated. This is strictly a yes or no. If they price in the model that comes with a steel bumper, then they will just strictly price in no. They'll circle no on the tender document. If it happens to come with the chrome bumper, then they'll circle yes. So we eliminated 16, we eliminated number 17. Again, the grill, it's strictly a yes or no. Does that model of vehicle that they're pricing, does it come with a chrome grill? It's strictly a yes or no answer. And again, we eliminated number 19 with the fold-away mirrors and number 20 with the spare tire mounted under the rear frame. So, any questions or concerns as of the second page?
Okay, any questions, comments, or concerns? Jeff, I do have one that just came back to my head. So, going back to the first page, and we go to 4-wheel drive regular cab with 8-foot box, and then we have 4-wheel drive extended cab with 6-inch box. Are you looking for an extended cab or a crew cab? Because up above, you're looking at a crew cab.
So, Mr. Mayor, there's no more, and I asked the sales associate in town if they still have the extended cabs and a crew cab, and there's no more extended cabs. It's strictly crew cab. So I will modify the top wording to read 4-wheel drive crew cab with 6'6" box.
Okay, now there are companies that may still have an extended cab. I know some have eliminated it, but if you want a crew cab, I don't have an issue with that. Maybe you need to change that wording in there then too to make sure they kind of linked together, and that's exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
I-
we'll definitely change that.
Yeah. Anything else on that other page or any other back questions? Go on then, please.
Okay, so we're over to number 21 now. So we eliminated the molded mud guards, the seats, we eliminated that section of it, the 40-20 split, that is gone. Upholstery shall be cloth, it's strictly yes or no. Floor mats rubber, yes or no. Truck shall be supplied with air conditioning, yes or no. The intermittent windshield wipers, we took that out. The stereo, every vehicle comes with a stereo now. We got rid of the 2 power points. The center console, dual cup holders, we got rid of that, and we eliminated the cruise control from the added features. Any topics, questions, or concerned on that page?
Anything? Go ahead, Councilor Lewis.
I believe that there should be mud flaps on the truck.
So Jeff, if you talk to your mechanic, would he rather have factory installed or mechanic installed mud flaps? You can do either.
Factory installed, it's one person touching the truck and they're putting the mud flaps on when it's coming out of the factory. If not, then we have to go aftermarket, either from the dealership we purchased the vehicle from, and my mechanic install them. It's whatever route you want to go.
I don't disagree with you. It's one or the other, right? They have to be on one way or the other. I guess I can leave it with Jeff and he can figure that out, but
Myself, I would go with factory, Jeff, and then that gives the mechanic some time to do other things. So if it comes with mud flaps, they're most likely a better quality to start with. So I think it should be factory installed.
any arguments from anybody?
So the question for that one was, it's strictly a yes or no answer. Some people will price this vehicle to sell it and they'll just circle no that it doesn't come with mud flaps. So then we'll have to turn around and put mud flaps on anyways. So I can put it in and it's just strictly a yes or no answer.
Well, it sounds like I don't see any objection of council saying that's in a factory installed option, so.
Yeah.
So it won't be a yes, no, it has to be there sort of deal. I know in my dealings, usually a truck's sitting on the lot and there's no mud flaps on it and the first argument is you're putting it on or I'm not buying the truck. And it's not the cheap ones from CTC, it's whatever the OEM provides, so they're not cheap, like they're a couple $100 or
Yeah.
$300, they're more money than they should be, but
That's the way
But you gotta have something there, I don't disagree, or else they get all rocked up with stones and mud and everything else that comes along with it, so.
So I'll re-include that then. I'll put the molded mud guards back in place.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem.
okay, anything else? Yes, Councilor
Number
Mellon.
25, trucks shall be supplied with air conditioning, yes or no? We could get, tenders come in or pricing quotes come in without air conditioning. I can't imagine any vehicle coming without air conditioning now, but I don't even know. To me, it should just be, trucks shall be supplied with air conditioning, yes, because I can't. You have to really probably have to special order a truck to come, any vehicle to come in without air conditioning, but that's just a small point.
Yeah. Well, my research dictated every truck had air on it, it was just an automatic, there was
Yeah.
no,
So why give them, I guess you can leave it the way it is, because it's all gonna come back yes, so,
yeah.
unless somebody rips the air conditioner out and puts it in something else, but, sorry.
My old 91 doesn't have air and that's the way it came, so.
Yeah.
But it's as plain Jane as you can get. Okay, anything else?
No.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead with the next page then, please.
Okay, so over to number 31. So power windows, that is pretty well standard right now. And if some dealerships choose to not have power windows, then they'll just be circled no. So we eliminated 32, we eliminated 33, 34 is now gone. 35, I've changed the wording and it should be 120 volt instead of 115 volt. Again, 36 is standard suspension, and 38, the wheels shall be mounted on 4 chrome-plated or aluminum rims. That, again, is a yes or no. The truck as a commercial work truck, and it comes in with steel, then they'll strictly circle no. And then we'll know that it has steel rims that come on the vehicle. And 39, the vehicle supply shall meet the provisions of the Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Act. So that's standard literature. So I can answer any questions that you have on that page.
Okay, so any questions on that page and the start of the next, well, it's on the same next page. You're thinking, Councilor Mellon?
Well, these trucks gonna be used for, Jeff? What department are they going into? Standard suspension is supplied with the model. We don't need to have, we are not looking at heavy duty, or no need for heavy duty or a beefed up suspension?
No, so they're strictly half-ton trucks, Councilor Mellon. So the regular cab with the 8-foot box
Okay.
is going to be working in the plaza, doing garbage collection for both Morrisburg and Iroquois plazas. And the crew cab is going to the recreation department. So it'll be strictly for passenger vehicle, moving staff from location to location, and throwing their work equipment in the back end to do the daily activities.
They do have a 3/4 ton truck if they want to beef her up, so.
Yeah, well, you know, there was the outside chance that we were gonna have to do more work with it but we have the trucks, in our inventory to do that, so no, drive on.
Okay, so anything else from anybody? Go on to last page, I guess.
So now we're just into the basic literature of the motor vehicle. So 40 is staying in, so signed manufacturer's warranty, yes or no. Where it calls for minimums, the vehicle must meet or exceed the capacity, size, or performance specified, yes or no. And then the other, making sure that it is dependable, efficient service. And the vehicle shall meet or surpass the mandatory requirements of the Canadian Motor Vehicle safety regulations to complete that page for line item number 43. Nothing was changed at all on that page. Strictly yes or no answers.
44 is something you desire yet, correct?
44 is something that I do desire, and the reason being is that recreation does have a small single axle utility trailer that this vehicle could handle with no questions asked. And the same with the half-ton that will be working in the plaza. If we ever needed to hook onto that little utility trailer to pull the trailer around with a snow blower or whatnot, this truck could still handle a small utility trailer.
Okay, I don't have an issue with that, but I would suggest you move that to ahead of 39, because it might get lost in the shuffle, because everybody says, oh, that's just the standard template, and then all of a sudden at the bottom there, oh, I didn't see that. Like, it needs to be with the options instead of up in the
So
standard.
through bids and tenders, Mr. Mayor, that is a field with, when I include yes or no, that they have to complete the field or it's considered an insufficient bid. And they'll get flagged that it's, that the tender is not completed. So I can move ahead, but it's been like that for the last 2 years, 2-3 years.
I don't disagree with you, but if I was looking at logic, that should be in with the options and then the standard boilerplate stuff after. It just seems more logical.
Okay.
That way
I'll
it
move
can't be missed, because there's nothing worse than the guy puts his truck together and thinks he's got it, and all of a sudden he's looking down, oh, I missed that. Why'd they put it there? Councilor Lewis?
And I don't think it should be an option. It should not be a yes, no. It's yes.
Yes.
The truck has to come with it.
Yeah. I'm not
So
here to argue
yes
that,
only.
that's
don't-
for sure. If you're gonna put a trailer on it, you need to have the brake controller now too, which is rather ironic, because I got my first truck with a brake controller and I told them I didn't need that option, but I've used it, so.
Oh, yeah.
Same with the big fat mirrors on the outside. I'll never use those big mirrors. I'll never do it without anymore, so.
So I'll make that a yes option, yes only.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? Councilor
I
Mellon?
move that to, for whatever reason, there's not a 37, and it comes right underneath our standard suspension. We got 36, then we jumped to 38. I'd put the hitch requirement on right underneath there before we even get down to, like you say, Mayor Bybell's, down to, you know, the nuts and bolts and warranty and crap. For whatever reason, there's not a 37, but that should be, that's where I would shove it.
Yeah. Okay. Any further comments? Okay, so I did go through the Chevrolet site, Jeff, and they still make WT trucks. They're still available. I don't know if they're available for 22, but they're certainly available for order on 21. There were some trucks out there. I don't think you can probably price them right, but there are packages that work well too. So, and you may get a little bit more, but if a little bit more comes in a nice package, it's not the end of the world in my books. And every manufacturer is somewhat different. I did not go on every one. I kind of went to the easy one. But let's put it out there and see what we get. As everybody knows, and as Councilor Lewis has alluded to, getting chips, and we heard that lament from the dealer we talked to the other day. The chips are actually changing mid-course, and it's a big challenge. It's not. So yes, there's trucks coming in on the lots, but very, very slowly. And I said, he said that if you put a penalty on there, he's not going to bid, and that means we're going to lose bidders, and we really don't want to close the door. There might be we might get lucky and somebody orders it, and 3 months later we have trucks sitting here in the yard, and at a decent price. I'm still not happy with what's happened in the past, and with the last two, I think there were some excuses made, but we are where we are, so we've given up on them. Let's drive on. Anything further from council? Councilor Mellon?
One question, when's this tender, when's the closing gonna be on this tender?
So if I go to the street, I'm hoping for the 1st of May, because I now have to do some rejigging and I have to put it back up on bids and tenders. 15 days up as live for bidding. So it'll close, I'll bring it back to you. I'm hoping towards the beginning of December to bring it back as pricing for awarding. I was talking to the local sales associate in Morrisburg, and he firmly believes that a May 31st, end of May delivery date is very attainable. So that gets us through the winter season, and that gets us right into the spring when the spring activities fire back up
The
again.
reason I sort of ask, I mean, I think that's too long out, but I mean, it is what it is, it's the world we live in, and I apologize, and I meant to do it this afternoon, and I just thought about it here now. On our fleet replacement schedule, if we're gonna be, are we looking, is there any, I'm not saying that we're, that's not written in there in ink, but is there any, is there anything scheduled for next year as far as trucks? Why I'm asking is if, we're gonna be going out for tender on 2, is there the outside chance you get a better price if you were tendering for 3 or 4?
So what's the forecast,
Yeah.
Jeff? Forecast, because we always have that as a forecast, right?
So loose numbers right now I'll leave it as loose numbers. We're looking at a 3/4 ton for the transportation department. We're looking at a vehicle for water, wastewater of some form. We're looking at a vehicle for recreation of some form, likely a 1/2 ton. So we could be in the, looking for at least three more vehicles for this upcoming budget season.
Would it be a worthwhile exercise to us to review that now? Let's say we go down the road getting 3, that seems like a little bit of a jump, as far as vehicles go. But let's say, let's say we went and, re-tendered after we do budget for 2 more vehicles. If there's outside chance that, you go to a dealership or a company, they may give you a better price on 4, 3, 4, 5 over 2. I don't know.
Okay. So right now we're speculating a bit. We haven't asked.
Yeah.
All respect to Jeff. It's just we got to look at the cycle, and we're kind of jumping ahead. If CAO, any comments?
Definitely, if it's something council wants us to review, we do have the fleet replacement schedule that we could bring back to the next council meeting next week if council wanted to look at it. I believe to Jeff's point, there was 1 or 2 on the schedule, but that's just it's not a given, right?
No.
It's on the schedule for council to review and discuss. So if council wants to look at that and discuss it prior to budget, we can certainly bring it back and have that discussion. And if council is comfortable, add that to the tender. But ultimately, it's up to council how they want to proceed.
The number of vehicles that we may look at next year may be dictated a lot by the pricing that comes back on these vehicles. You know, so if they come back.
So here's my suggestion. We have a council meeting next week. If Jeff and you work with whoever's in theory getting the trucks, look at what they have now,
Yep.
kilometers, kind of shape they're in, can they last another year, should they be replaced, that kind of information. We get that as council at our next meeting, we could make that decision going forward. We would be relying on some pretty very valid numbers on making those decisions pre-budget, because we're making them out of context, and the context being global budget on how dollars are.
Absolutely, agreed.
So I know some trucks are getting aged, and that's fair enough, but then my truck's getting aged and I'm gonna run it another year. So that kind of idea has to be incorporated too, because I'm seeing Cocos driving around with a lot of junk out there fixing stuff, and I'm not saying we should. We don't need to drive stuff that's in rough shape, but if it's still safe and manageable and within specs, then running an extra year is not the end of the world. And if there's a department that feels they need another truck to run around in, then the business case comes to council and we can make that decision.
Okay.
Councilor Gardner, or Deputy Mayor Gardner, sorry.
I'm just gonna say, I don't know if that's the best course of action. I think that putting out a large tender for multiple trucks when the supply chain is so questionable and we're going to be paying top dollar for them, in my mind, it would make sense to test the water with these two, now that we've gotten the document done. Test the water with that and see, because I think honestly, not that I have a crystal ball, but the hope is that the pandemic will be somewhat done, then you're gonna need probably about 8 months to a year to get that revved up again. And I think we're gonna end up paying, I think there's a shortage, and I think we'd still be a situation where we'd be paying top dollar. So that's just my, thoughts.
Good points,
Yeah.
good
I mean,
points.
the reason I brought it up is just that, and I totally agree. Like, I mean, we may very well be, they may price ourselves right out of the market, and nothing's guaranteed as far as that fleet schedule goes. So it might very well be just as prudent to proceed,
it's kinda like if you
now
were
and
gonna-
see what
yeah.
happens. But
If you're gonna buy a house now,
I don't know,
wait.
I don't know if there's any way you could get any type of feel from anybody if you went to them and said, look, if we bought 4, is there any better price?
No, it doesn't work.
They're not gonna work that way. Okay, let's just drive on, because we could drag this out, another council meeting, another council meeting. If we're gonna tender this thing, let's put this baby to bed. I've never seen us work so hard on trying to get a tender for a truck. Yeah.
Yes, Shannon?
I think to the Deputy Mayor's point, a very good point, is that it might put us in a position that we know what the true costs are going to be next year, that we might have to adjust our fleet replacement schedule. So it might be good just to see what the first 2 come in at, and ultimately then we can go from there.
Yeah, I'm not sold on doing all 3 or 4 more, but I thought I needed to throw that out there.
Because I do think council needs to see the whole package at budget time as a whole, encompassing the numbers and stuff, and that might be part of it too.
We need to understand too, some of these industries are changing. That's the thing with COVID. A lot of things aren't gonna go back to the way they were necessarily. And the industry is changing. I mean, I've told this story multiple times, but I went online and sourced out my vehicle, pick it up in 3 months. There's none of this, give me mats for $100 off and all this stuff. It's a little different. So I think we need to let the market stabilize and then see what we can do.
Everything goes in cycles. I don't think we're gonna get out of the cycle fast enough for us to get cheaper trucks next year. I'm gonna tell you
No.
that right now. I don't see that for another 2 or 3, and then it'll flip.
Yeah.
Everybody will have their new truck and the lots will load up again.
Yep.
It's either that or they don't make as many, but they got to balance it out.
Let's just drive on with these two.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
are we good?
Wasted 10 minutes of that discussion.
No, it's all right. It's not a bad thing to bring up because I don't, you're looking ahead to see how you can make it all work. So, okay, so we'll just go with the two and go from there. Then we'll find out when we get done
I don't think we're, anyway.
okay, that's it. Anything further, Jeff?
No, so I just want to bring up that we went from 44 line items on a true tender document down to 23 line items. So I think we accomplished what you wanted to see. We went from complexity down to too vague, back to maybe a document that's more manageable to work with right now. So that's good news.
Okay, appreciate that. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to be going into closed session. So with that, I will thank council so far for their work and thank staff for their presentations. And once we go back into open, it'll be just an adjournment on the agenda here. So with that, Madam Clerk, please.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that council proceed in camera pursuant to section 239.2.b of the Municipal Act 2001, more specifically, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you very much.